Hey, Ra, Maya Paveza here, and well, it used to be Social Media Thursday for me, but now we're working to find the new social media person here. But now for me, it's what's your story? Own it. And I wish more people would own it. I, as a realtor, have had a lot of experience with being blamed for things that I didn't do. But it doesn't really matter because in the end, the mantra is the customer is always right. It's ironic though when I often get painted as the bad guy or villain, and it seems to happen more often than not when I am the buyer's agent and there's a lack of communication or dismissal from the seller's agent as I communicate concerns. Excuse me. And that's sort of epidemic in our society in that people like to pass the buck. Now, I'm trying to remember which president. I want to say, is it Jimmy Carter or Ronald Reagan that had the sign on their desk that said, "The buck stops here." Now, as a kid, I didn't really get that, but in thinking about it, I think that that's a really good mantra for everybody. The buck stops here. People are so used to passing the buck, passing blame, avoiding confrontation, not owning their mistakes, who they are, and taking responsibility for their actions. People are so quick to try to blame someone else. And it's almost as though it's human nature because people are just so afraid of getting in trouble. And, you know, I've said it before and I'll say it again. Since I worked in technology, I learned a long time ago, like in my late teens, early 20s, that if I did something wrong, I was going to step up and take responsibility for that. And, even if I didn't do something wrong, if I'm dealing with a client or a customer, I'm still going to hear their complaint, concerns, whatever the case may be. I'm going to acknowledge it. I'm going to apologize for it. And I'm going to find a way to fix it. There's no time for excuses. Excuses don't matter. Blame doesn't even matter. It's getting things resolved and moving forward. The blame game just wastes time. But it's sort of this high school-esque thing that seems to still go on in society. It's well, I didn't do that, no, no, no. I absolutely didn't do that. I asked so and so to do that and they didn't do it, so therefore it's not my fault. Well, you know what? If somebody asks you to do something and then you in turn sort of outsource it to someone else, you still have the primary responsibility for that item, deliverable, whatever the case may be. And this doesn't have to do just with business, it's life in general. Nobody's perfect. We're all human beings, and it can be a lot better if we will all accept the fact that you can only grow and learn by acknowledging when we have either failed, made a mistake. You can't have success without failure. You don't know what the success is unless you've tried, trial and error thing. But the buck needs to stop with you. The buck can't go on to someone else. We each need to have our own little sign on our desk that says, "The buck stops here." Stop passing the buck. Start owning yourself, owning the things around you. It is far too easy to know what really happened, to find credible information despite what people say. So it's always better to be candid. It's always better to set expectations, and it's always better to communicate. We've all been guilty of those times where perhaps we haven't called somebody back in the timely fashion that they would like. Well, if you just don't call them back, it doesn't change the fact. You just need to pick up the phone and you just need to say, "I'm so sorry. I apologize. It slipped my mind. What can I do to fix it?" And that's the thing, because otherwise it's a reflection on you, professionalism, your humanity, and all these other things. Stop passing the buck, stop placing the blame with others, and be responsible for your life, your choices, and your actions. I am not perfect. I try to be honest and straightforward. There are some very specific instances, and I'm not proud of them, where I have had to withhold truth. And I think we all do that. Sometimes we become privy to information that we may not want to have. And that's fine and dandy, but people also confide in us for reasons. And when people provide confidences, you need to respect them. So, not the game of turning around, calling your best friend and going, "Oh my gosh, you would not believe it. They just told me. Oh my God." They were like, blah, blah, blah. So, Buck stops here. Stop placing blame elsewhere and own it. The customer is always right, and I'm not always the villain. And I don't mean like me specifically, I mean everybody. So, all right, Raw, have a great day, and thanks for joining me. See you next week. And don't forget, believe in yourself and be confident.